Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant AJ Clotty. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Lance Corporal Arthur Andrew Brownlie, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Return and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Club Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family, visitors to the memorial, and students on behalf of Wesley College from South Perth, Western Australia. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Thank you. You may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and in operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal Arthur Andrew Brownlie. Arthur Andrew Brownlie was the sixth of 8 children born to James and Alice Gold Brownlie in 1889 in East Maitland, New South Wales. He was their youngest son and attended high school in East Maitland before moving to the central Queensland to work as a bookkeeper. Brownlie enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force at Charleville in April 1916. He joined the 3rd Australian Machine Gun Company and completed his initial training in Australia, learning how to use the Vickers medium machine gun. In October 1916, he embarked from Melbourne on the transport ship Port Lincoln. After a stopover in Sierra Leone, Brownlie continued to England. He undertook a further 6 months training at army camps on the Salisbury Plain. During this time, his sister Marion sent him cigarettes and knitted socks. He wrote letters home to his family in Queensland, thanking them for the small comforts and giving them a general idea of his activities. While training, Brownlie was transferred to the 24th Australian Machine Gun Company. Although the officers of this company had seen active service, none of the men had, and they spent the time in preparation for what they would encounter on the Western Front. Brownlie showed promise as a soldier, and at the end of August was promoted to the rank of Lance Corporal. In early September 1917, Brownlie arrived in France and made his way to the front line. As part of the 13th Brigade, he and his men of the 24th Machine Gun Company were sent to Ypres sector in Belgium, just over the border with France. When they arrived at the front of the 23rd of September, Brownlie and his unit were positioned between Zonnebaker and Polygon Wood. In mid-September, Australian and British troops had begun an offensive known as the Third Battle of Ypres. This operation had the objective of pushing the Germans out of Flanders region altogether. In the days before Brownlie's arrival in the sector, Commonwealth forces had an initial success at Menin Road, though at the cost of many casualties. The next stage in the offensive was to advance to the front line nearly 1,500 meters through a copse of trees known as Polygon Wood. At the dawn of the 26th of September, the 24th Machine Gun Company supported the advancing Australian troops. Along with the Australian and British artillery, Brownlie and his unit laid down what was known as a creeping barrage. This tactic involved a line of shelling and machine gun fire which advanced a short distance in front of the attacking troops. Though the Australians suffered heavy casualties at Polygon Wood, all their objectives were achieved and consolidated. On the 29th of September 1917, while still stationed at the front line, Brownlie was hit by a shell fragment and killed instantly. He was buried where he fell by his comrades in the 24th Machine Gun Company. He was 27 years old. Brownlie's name is inscribed on the Menin Gate Memorial in Ypres, Belgium. He is one of 6,000 Australian soldiers commemorated there who have no known grave. Lance Corporal Arthur Andrew Brownlie is listed on the Roll of Honor to my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the Fool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal Arthur Andrew Brownlie, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.